What is descriptive statistics? Well, whenever we talk about data that we take from a process, we want to be able to describe it. That's why we call it descriptive statistics. There's another field in academia that we call inferential. So we make suppositions about the process as how it's going to behave on a long-term process or process capability. That's going to be inferential statistics. But just describing a data set is part of descriptive statistics. Now, the most common fields are N, which simply means number of data points. So how many data points am I taking? Standard deviation, which is the overall width of my process. I'll explain that in a little bit. Minimum field, this is the smallest number found within DIM1. Q1, which would simply be the first quartile position. Median, which represents the 50% mark of my data. Q3, which represents the third quartile of my position. And maximum, which would represent the biggest number that I actually found. So let's say this is the smallest one, 12.73. From there, from 0 to 25% of my data is contained between 1273 and the next number, which would be 14.24. This is my first quartile position. Next up, from 14.28 all the way to 15.07 is the next 15% of my position. So from 25% of my data to 50% of my data, which would involve my second quartile, Q2. Q3 is contained between 15 all the way to 15.6. This one would be the third quartile, Q3. And lastly, the last quartile would go from 15.6 all the way to 17.57. Why is this useful? Well, we want to know how wide our process is. It goes from a minimum value all the way over to a maximum value. So minimum being 12 and maximum being 17. If I came to you guys and told you that I got a part that measured 9 inches, for example, you could immediately tell me that this unit is likely not from this process, because this process overall width just goes from 12 to 17, and that's it. Now from here, I have mean, standard deviation, minimum, Q1, median, Q3, and maximum position. Let's say I want to redo this for dimension number 2. So I can either do stat, basic, and display, and select my C2 column right here, and then click on the OK option. Or there's a handy little shortcut known as Control plus E. If I click on Control plus E, I'll redo the previous command, whatever that command had been. So I'm going to redo this, and I can select C2 and just run it. Now, what if I wanted C1, C2, and C3 analyzed at the same time? Well, I could either option A, I can select all 3 of them and click on select, send them over to the right side. I can do them one by one. This also works. Or the easiest option in my mind is just do C1 dash C3. Whenever you say dash, the program understands that it's going to continue that command until it finishes on the last column. So if I do C1 to C3, it's going to do the analysis for all 3 columns, dimension 1, dimension 2, and my text column, which remember is not a text field, it's just called text, but this is a numbers field. It doesn't have that dash T next to it. Now, C4 is empty, C5, and C7. Let's say I wanted to do this for everything, so I would do C1 dash C3, and then I can do space, and then do C5 dash C7. And I can run this. Whenever you type in a space, it means that you are giving it a new command. So if I do space and then do C5 to C7, the program understands that it's going to do the analysis for the data contained on C1 to C3 and also for the data contained on C5 to C7. Now, from here, let's go over to stat, basic, display, And then we're going to click on the statistics option. Within the statistics option, you can turn on or turn off different types of statistical data analysis, which you are going to execute on this session window. So let's say I'm not interested in the standard error of the means because that value is not really used for most statistical data analysis. You usually just use your mean, standard deviation. Let's say I'm not interested in the quartile positions, the minimum or maximum, and I'm only interested in how many data points are recorded. I'm going to click on the OK option, and I'll click on OK. This is going to shorten out my graph itself. I can maximize it, and I can now visualize it. So dimension 1 has 100 data points, and it has a mean of 15.006 with a standard deviation of 1.063. Text field also has 100 data points with a mean of 14 and a standard deviation of 0.94. Column C7 has 100 data points, a mean of 10, and a standard deviation of 3.06. Now, what does the mean mean and what is the standard deviation? The mean is the average of my data. So if I go over here to graph and probability distribution plot, I can select this option of bare parameters. I'm going to show you, so I'm going to do mean 0 space mean 4 space mean 6 space mean 8. So what you can see here is each graph right here is in a different position. This one passes exactly through 0 here in the middle. This one right here passes through the value of 3. The next one passes, value of 4, sorry. The next one passes through the value of 6. This one should have been a 4. And the next one passes through the value of 8. Now, I'm going to make them a little bit wider apart. So let's just increase the gaps. So let's do 6, let's do 8, let's do 16, let's do 30. There we go. That should make it easier for everyone to visualize. So I'm going to add a reference line here, 0, 8, 16, and 30. There you go. You can now see that all the lines, all the graphs intersect perfectly on their average position. Okay. But the important thing here is it's the position of the data. The overall total width from initial position to final position on the graph is the same size. So all the graphs are around the same width. The only thing changing is their position or their middle position. So the mean of the data set tells me where the average of the data is contained, which in normal distributed data, which we'll talk about that later, is going to be the half position of the data. Now, the standard deviation, on the other hand, controls the width. So this one, they all have a width or a standard deviation of 1. Now let's modify that. So let's redo this. I'm going to do graph, probability, vary, and then I'm going to select standard deviation. And I'm going to select the number 10 for now. I'm going to say standard deviation of 0.5, then standard deviation of 3, and a standard deviation of 8. Okay, so here we go. So you can see that the blue bar right here, this blue chart, is 0.5 standard deviation. It's a lot thinner. Now, as the standard deviation increases from 0.5 to 3 to 8, for example, the total width of the process increases as well. So the green one is the widest with a standard deviation of 8. And you might think, well, that's actually really wide. Well, if I increase the standard deviation again from 8, let's say all the way to 15, you're going to notice that I now have another process that is even wider. So this one, this line right here, this purple one, that one is a standard deviation of 15, and it's even wider than the line of the green line, which is a standard deviation of 8. So the mean itself, the mean controls the position of the graph, while the standard deviation controls the width of the graph. Knowing both things allows me to know how wide the process is and where it's currently located. So if dimension 1 tells me that it has a mean of 15 and a standard deviation of 1.06, then I know where it's located. So I can do here and I can say mean of 15 and a standard deviation of 1.06. Theoretically speaking, it's going to go from 11 all the way up to around 19. Okay? And that way I can determine the overall total width of the process and the average position of the process, which is going to split evenly 50% of the data toward the right and 50% of the data toward the left. There are some scenarios where this rule does not apply. I will talk about that later in another video. Now from here, I have my data sets right here, dim 1, dim 2, dimension 3, and we've talked about what is the mean and what is my standard deviation. Now, what other tools do I currently have? I have another tool known as Store Descriptive Statistics. If I select this option of Store Descriptive Statistics, I can immediately select dimension 1, dimension 2, for example, and here in Statistics, I can turn on the mean and the standard deviation option. This option is quite similar to the one that we used previously. I'm now going to select on the OK option right here, and you're going to notice that nothing happened on the session window. Well, nothing happened on the session window because Store Descriptive Statistics actually saves your data into the worksheet. So you can see here that I have my mean of the dataset 1, dataset 2, standard deviation of dataset 1, standard deviation of dataset 2, and then the number of data points from N1 and N2. So whenever you want to store the data, you can just use this option and it's going to get stored into your worksheet. Personally, I find it easier to just select my data. You're going to notice that if I click on the white portion here, it shows this little like square around it. I can do a right click, and then within this right click, I can select copy or copy as picture. If you select copy, it's going to copy it as text. So I'm going to do here, I'm going to open up Word, I'm going to paste it here. So you're going to notice that all of this is text. I can modify it, I can write around it, I can type in numbers, etc. So this is a text field. On the other hand, if I grab my data and I select copy as picture, I can just copy and paste it like this. Personally, I find this better because it's already pre-formatted for you. You don't need to format it yourself. And when you actually copy and paste as a table, well, you need to make sure that the columns are the right size. So it's a little bit annoying sometimes. But here you can just keep your picture and just make it a little bit bigger or a little bit smaller as needed. Now you could also have done right click and then select send to Microsoft Word. This is going to send it automatically over to Microsoft Word as shown here, wherever you had your cursor placed. So for example, if I have my cursor, I'm going to type in some data here, and I have my cursor here in the middle, and I go over back to Minitab and say send to Microsoft Word. The data is going to be inserted into wherever you had your cursor placed. You guys might find this easier to use. I personally find that it moves my documents all the way over, so I prefer to just copy as picture and paste it. Well, team, that concludes our lesson for today. On the next video, we'll talk about histograms, box plots, and additional tools you might use within Minitab. I'm Quality Engineer for New Product Productions, Andres Relas, wishing you all a great day. Thank you.